Nobody tells you this when you're growing up. Life feels overwhelming only when you play small in a world designed to reward the ones who dare to play big. You weren't weak. You weren't late. You weren't unlucky. You simply didn't realize the force you were carrying inside you. While others learned to move with intention, to think several steps ahead, to stay composed while the world shook around them, you were taught to be nice, stay humble, and wait for the right moment. But here's the truth Machiavelli would whisper. There is no right moment. There is only the person bold enough to act. They trained their confidence. They sharpened their discipline. They walked into rooms with the posture of someone who already belonged there. And you entered with honesty, effort, and humility. Great qualities, but incomplete without strategy. That's why life felt uncertain. That's why opportunities slipped past you. That's why your potential stayed in the dark. But there comes a moment, a life-changing, identity-shifting moment, when something inside you clicks. When you stop seeing life as a threat and start seeing it as an arena. When you stop fearing challenges and start hunting them. When you stop waiting for direction and start creating your own path. And in that moment, your confidence rises, your decisions sharpen, your ambition wakes up. Not because the world suddenly treated you better, but because you transformed into someone the world must take seriously. This is the turning point, the moment your old self fades and the stronger, clearer, more deliberate version of you steps forward. The version that speaks less and moves with purpose. The version that stops doubting and starts executing. The version that becomes impossible to ignore. If you're ready to step into that version, if you're ready to stop watching life and start directing it, then stay close. There is far more power inside you than you've ever allowed yourself to believe. Let's unlock it. And before we go deeper into the strategies Machiavelli himself would teach, hit subscribe. Not to support the channel, but to support the future you, the one who refuses to live small ever again. Machiavelli believed that the greatest power a person can ever gain is not control over others, but control over themselves. Because once you master your mind, you stop moving like someone reacting to life and start moving like someone directing it. This is where your transformation begins. Most people wake up every day in a passive state. They let circumstances shape them. They let emotions dictate their energy. They let other people's opinions control their confidence. They don't realize they're giving away the very thing that determines their destiny, their mindset. But the ones who rise, the ones you look at and wonder, how do they stay so focused? They aren't built differently. They simply discovered a truth Machiavelli understood centuries ago. Power belongs to those who think strategically, act intentionally, and move decisively, not emotionally. When you start thinking like this, life stops feeling chaotic and starts feeling navigable. You begin to notice that people fall into two groups. There are the reactors, the ones who complain, hesitate, procrastinate, and then wonder why nothing changes. And there are the strategists, the ones who observe, adapt, execute, and rise, because they refuse to move blindly. Transformation begins the moment you step out of the first group and into the second. This isn't about becoming cold. It isn't about becoming ruthless. It's about becoming deliberate. Because most people don't fail from lack of talent. They fail from lack of direction. They have the ability, they have the potential. They simply never learned how to channel it. They rush, they doubt, they overthink, they fear judgment, they fear mistakes, they fear what others will say when they finally take themselves seriously. But Machiavelli teaches the opposite. A person who fears opinions will always remain smaller than their own potential. You rise the moment you stop explaining yourself and start executing yourself. You rise when you stop asking for permission and start giving yourself instructions. You rise when you stop waiting for motivation and start relying on discipline. The minute you decide to act with intention is the minute you separate yourself from 99% of the world. Transformation begins with awareness. Awareness of who you are now, and awareness of who you want to become. Awareness of the habits that shape you, and the behaviors silently pulling you off your path. Life is not random. Your habits write your future in real time. Every time you scroll endlessly, your future shrinks. Every time you waste your morning, your potential slows. Every time you delay your goals until the right moment, you give life permission to hold you back. But the moment you begin your day with clarity, the moment you move with purpose, the moment you choose discipline over comfort, something powerful happens. Your mind sharpens. Your ambition strengthens. Your presence changes. People notice, not because you're talking about change, but because you've become the kind of person who doesn't talk much anymore. You act, you build, you decide, you execute. Your silence becomes your strength. Your consistency becomes your reputation. Your discipline becomes your advantage. This is the Machiavellian way of rising. Not through luck, not through shortcuts, but through awareness, precision, and decisive action. Once you understand this, you stop feeling overwhelmed by the world and start feeling aligned with yourself. Because the moment you realize that every step you take shapes your future, you stop moving carelessly and start moving powerfully. That is the shift. That is the evolution. That is the moment your life stops being accidental and starts becoming intentional. Machiavelli believed that if you want to rise in life, you must learn to read people with the same precision a general reads a battlefield. Because once you understand people, you stop being confused. You stop being manipulated. You stop being blindsided. You stop being disappointed. You begin to move through the world with a level of clarity most people never reach. People are not mysterious. People are not unpredictable. They are simply unread, because no one ever taught you what to look for. The truth is simple. Words lie. Behavior never does. Someone can speak kindly and still resent you. Someone can support you publicly and envy you privately. Someone can compliment you today and compete with you tomorrow. A Machiavellian mind watches the pattern, not the performance. Once you shift your attention from what people say to what people show, your entire world becomes easier to navigate. You'll start noticing things others overlook: who listens and who waits to talk, who respects your time and who uses it, who supports your growth and who feels threatened by it, who keeps their word and who depends on excuses, who speaks with intention and who speaks for attention. These small details reveal more about a person than any speech they could ever give. And here's a principle Machiavelli lived by. Everyone acts from self-interest. The wise accept this. The naive resist it. This is not cynicism. This is clarity. Self-interest doesn't make people bad. It makes them human. Once you understand this, you stop expecting others to sacrifice their comfort, their ego, or their goals just to make your life easier. You stop holding unrealistic expectations and start making strategic observations. You start asking the right questions. Why did they choose this moment to speak? What do they gain from this interaction? What are they afraid of losing? What does their silence mean? What does their enthusiasm hide? Not to judge them, but to understand the game you're in. The more you understand people, the less they can control you through confusion. And the less confused you become, the more powerful you grow. Another Machiavellian truth is this: people respect strength, not passivity. You can be kind, you can be honest, you can be respectful. These are good traits, but none of them matter if you lack strength beneath them. When people sense insecurity, they take advantage. When they sense desperation, they distance themselves. When they sense lack of boundaries, they push harder. When they sense fear, they dominate. But when people sense strength, quiet, calm, consistent strength, their behavior changes instantly. Their tone shifts, their attitude shifts, their respect grows, their intentions become more cautious. Strength doesn't need volume. It doesn't need aggression. It doesn't need dominance. It needs only one thing: certainty. A person who is certain of who they are cannot be manipulated, cannot be intimidated, cannot be pushed, cannot be derailed. And certainty comes from one place: understanding. Understanding yourself, understanding your values, understanding your mission, understanding your boundaries, and yes, understanding other people. Once you learn to observe quietly, listen deeply, and think independently, you begin to see the truth behind every interaction. Who is real? Who is pretending? Who is genuine? Who is opportunistic? Who deserves access? Who deserves distance? This clarity becomes your advantage, because most people trust too quickly, react too emotionally, and attach too easily. A strategist does none of that. A strategist moves with intention, not impulse. They choose their inner circle carefully. They protect their energy ruthlessly. They distance themselves from chaotic minds without creating drama. They stay polite, but never naive. They stay kind, but never blind. They stay open, but never unguarded. When you understand people, you become impossible to fool, difficult to influence, and extremely hard to manipulate. And that is real power, not dominance over others, but freedom from their control. This is the chapter where you stop being confused by people and start becoming the one who understands them better than they understand themselves. Machiavelli understood a truth most people never grasp. Power is not only what you have, it's what people sense the moment you enter a room. Before you speak a single word, before you show a single intention, people are already judging your presence. They're calculating your confidence, your posture, your discipline, your quiet authority. This is why some individuals stand out instantly while others vanish into the background. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's not some mysterious gift. It's presence, built intentionally, maintained strategically, projected effortlessly. A powerful presence starts with a simple principle: speak less, say more. People who ramble reveal too much. People who over-explain lose respect. People who talk constantly give away their leverage. Your silence is not emptiness, it's control. It forces others to reveal themselves. It builds curiosity. It projects strength. Every great strategist knows this. You don't win influence by being the loudest. You win it by being the one everyone pays attention to when you finally speak. Presence is also built through your body language, not aggression, not arrogance, but calm certainty. Steady eyes, controlled movements. A posture that says you belong wherever you stand. A pace that never looks rushed or desperate. People can feel when someone carries themselves with purpose. It makes them think twice before disrespecting you, speaking over you, or underestimating you. And here's another truth Machiavelli lived by. Never be the most emotional person in the room. Emotional instability kills authority. When you overreact, you hand your power away. When you stay composed, you silently rise above everyone else. Composure is dominance without aggression. Composure is confidence without noise. Composure is leadership without effort. People follow the one who stays calm, when everyone else is losing control. A powerful presence is also built through standards, not the ones you announce, the ones you enforce. You don't tolerate disrespect. You don't chase those who pull away. You don't explain your worth. You don't beg for attention. You don't shrink your personality to make others comfortable. You simply live by your standards and let others adjust or exit. That alone changes how the world treats you. And perhaps the most Machiavellian principle of presence is this: walk with purpose even when the path isn't clear. Most people wait until they feel ready. A strategist moves and creates readiness along the way. People follow those who act with conviction, not those who stand still waiting for permission. Confidence comes from momentum, not perfection. Every step you take builds your identity. Every decision you make shapes how people perceive you. Every moment of discipline sharpens your aura. Presence is earned quietly, through consistency, not noise, through standards, not speeches, through calm energy, not force. When you carry yourself like someone who respects themselves, the world begins to mirror that respect back to you. You become someone people notice, someone people listen to, someone people don't want to disappoint, someone people want to follow. You don't intimidate. You don't overpower. You don't need dominance. Your strength is quieter, but heavier. And this is the level where you stop trying to fit into the world and start making the world adjust to you. Machiavelli understood something most people never learn. Your mind is the first battlefield, and the only one that truly decides your destiny. People think they lose because life is unfair. But the truth is simpler. They lose because they never learned how to control the voice inside their own head. Doubt whispers, and they listen. Fear rises, and they fold. Insecurity appears, and they shrink. They sabotage themselves long before the world ever gets a chance to. But the people who rise, the ones who look unshakable, they're not fearless. They're not superhuman. They're not gifted with some magical mindset. They simply learned one skill. Their emotions respond to them, not the other way around. This is the foundation of true power. While most people chase motivation, a strategist builds self-command. They know emotions come and go, but discipline stays if you train it. Where others say, "I don't feel like it today," a strategist says, "It gets done anyway." That is how momentum is built. That is how confidence is built. That is how identity is built. Your feelings don't define you. Your actions do. And the more you act with discipline, the more your emotions fall in line with your goals. Machiavelli warned that emotional people are easy to predict, easy to manipulate, and easy to defeat. Your power comes from the opposite. Remaining calm, deliberate, and unbothered in moments where others collapse. When you learn to stay centered, you instantly separate yourself from the world around you. Chaos exposes who is prepared and who is pretending. The calm one always wins. This doesn't mean ignoring your emotions. It means refusing to let them steer the wheel. You get anxious. You move anyway. You get tired. You move anyway. You get insecure. You move anyway. Action in the presence of discomfort is what builds the warrior mind. And here's something most people never realize. Self-respect doesn't grow from being perfect. It grows from keeping promises you make to yourself. Every time you keep a commitment, wake up on time, say no to distractions, train your focus, work when you don't feel like it, you stack proof that you are someone worth trusting. That is where true confidence comes from. Not compliments, not validation, not applause, but from knowing, I do what I say I will do. People can feel this energy without you saying a word. Your posture changes, your eye contact changes, your tone changes, your aura becomes heavier, calmer, clearer. It's the difference between someone who's pretending and someone who's built from discipline. When you master your inner world, you suddenly begin to see how predictable the outer world becomes. You read people faster. You see motives clearly. You make decisions without hesitation. You stop being pulled by every emotional wave. You stop losing battles created in your own mind. And the best part? You stop feeling overwhelmed by life because you've learned how to stay steady within yourself. This is the shift that turns ordinary people into leaders. This is the shift that turns confusion into clarity. This is the shift that turns fear into power. The person who controls their inner world becomes impossible to break. Your rise begins the moment you decide your emotions are allowed to exist, but not allowed to rule. From now on, your mind works for you, not against you. And that simple shift is what separates those who wish from those who win. Machiavelli understood something most people ignore. You don't rise because you're the best. You rise because you refuse to stop. Not because you're perfect. Not because you know everything. Not because you have the ideal circumstances. You rise because your momentum becomes louder than your excuses. Most people start strong and fade quickly. They get excited. They get inspired. They get motivated. And then life hits them once, and they collapse back into old habits. They mistake resistance for a sign to quit. They mistake slow progress for failure. They mistake discomfort for weakness. But the strategic mind sees it differently. Resistance means you're growing. Slow progress means you're still ahead. Discomfort means you're entering territory. Most people are too soft to explore. Once you understand this, you stop fearing struggle and start respecting it. Struggle is the proof that you're moving in the right direction. The world doesn't reward the person with the best talent. It rewards the person with the best endurance. That's why momentum is king. Momentum turns effort into identity. Momentum turns discipline into dominance. Momentum turns ordinary days into extraordinary results. You don't need to make giant leaps. You don't need to impress anyone. You don't need to feel powerful every day. You just need to keep moving. Every task completed is a vote for the person you're becoming. Every day you stay consistent is a warning to the version of you who used to quit easily. And every time you push forward when you least feel like it, you rewrite your entire character. This is what unstoppable people understand. Your future is shaped by the small actions you repeat, not the big actions you rarely finish. The average mind believes success is a moment. The strategic mind knows success is a rhythm. Once you lock into your rhythm, you're dangerous. Because now you move even when tired. You focus even when tempted. You execute even when unmotivated. You keep showing up long after everyone else has disappeared. This quiet persistence creates a force around you that people can feel. Your discipline becomes your aura. Your consistency becomes your credibility. Your habits become your reputation. Your work ethic becomes your advantage. People start treating you differently because they see that you treat yourself with a seriousness most people never develop. They watch you commit when they expected you to quit. They watch you improve when they assumed you would stagnate. They watch you rise and wonder how you're doing it. But the truth is simple. You're not relying on willpower. You're relying on momentum. And momentum is harder to break than motivation. Machiavelli believed that persistence is far more powerful than brilliance. Brilliance shines once. Persistence shines every day. Brilliance is admired. Persistence is feared. Brilliance gets attention. Persistence gets results. Once you become a person who moves forward without waiting for ideal conditions, you become someone who shapes your own conditions. You stop waiting for signs. You stop waiting for permission. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You move. And your movement opens doors you didn't even know existed. Before long, your old self can't recognize you. Your past limitations can't hold you. Your previous fears don't even make sense anymore, because you've turned yourself into someone who cannot be stopped by fatigue, failure, or doubt. Someone who doesn't negotiate with excuses. Someone who doesn't collapse under pressure. Someone who doesn't break when challenged. Someone who doesn't lose momentum just because the path gets difficult. Your power is not in how fast you rise. It's in how long you keep rising. And once you develop this mindset, once you become the person who simply refuses to stop, the world has no choice but to move out of your way. This is how you become unstoppable, not through perfection, but through persistence sharpened by strategy. Machiavelli understood one thing better than anyone. Power is not given. It is positioned, earned, and taken through intelligent action. You don't need to manipulate people. You don't need to dominate them. You don't need to be loud or ruthless. You need one skill, the ability to move strategically. Most people want influence, but they behave in ways that make influence impossible. They talk too much, react too fast, trust too easily, commit too quickly, and try to impress people who don't even respect themselves. A strategist moves differently. A strategist builds power quietly, consistently, intentionally. Here are the Machiavellian principles that give you influence in any environment. 1. Position yourself before you need power. Most people wait until a crisis to build strength. They wait until they're challenged to wish they had discipline. They wait until they're disrespected to wish they had boundaries. They wait until opportunity appears to wish they had prepared. But by then, it's too late. Power is built long before the world tests you. You read, learn, train, improve, and sharpen your mind when no one is watching. You work on yourself so you don't have to try to look powerful. You are powerful. That preparation puts you ahead before the game even begins. 2. Control the frame. In every room, every conversation, every relationship, there is always a frame. The dominant perspective that shapes everything. The person with the stronger frame sets the tone, sets the tempo, sets the energy. You never fight for the frame. You hold it through calm authority. Speak slowly. Hold eye contact. Don't rush answers. Don't chase approval. Don't break character. People naturally adjust to the one who radiates certainty. The frame follows confidence, not volume. 3. Become the person. Everyone can't stop watching. Influence is not built through attention-seeking. It is built through presence. People watch the one who moves differently from the crowd. The one who is calm when others panic. The one who listens when others rush. The one who chooses words instead of spilling them. The one who protects their time instead of offering it freely. You become influential not by demanding respect, but by behaving in a way that makes people realize you respect yourself. 4. Use silence to your advantage. If speech is silver, silence is the sharpest steel. Silence gives you information. Silence gives you leverage. Silence makes people reveal themselves. Silence turns the impulsive into the predictable. When you don't rush to fill the space, the other person will. And in what they say, or how they scramble to explain themselves, you learn everything. Silence is a pressure few people can withstand. Use it wisely. It is one of the most powerful tools of influence. 5. Choose your connections strategically. A Machiavellian mind understands that your environment shapes your destiny. You cannot rise while surrounded by people who are comfortable staying the same. You don't need a large circle. You need a strong one. People with ambition, people with discipline, people with standards, people who challenge you, people who hold themselves accountable. Connections should sharpen you, not drain you. The people closest to you should force you to level up, not deteriorate. 6. Protect your reputation, like a fortress. Machiavelli said your reputation is your most valuable weapon. It opens doors long before your words do. It speaks for you when you're not in the room. It intimidates the right people and impresses the right minds. You protect your reputation by keeping your word, staying consistent, moving with discipline, avoiding unnecessary drama, not being seen as unpredictable or emotional, making sure your actions match your identity. Reputation is not built in a day, but one consistent identity creates a presence that people cannot ignore. 7. Become the person with options. The one with the most options always holds the power. Options give you leverage. Options give you confidence. Options give you freedom. You create options by building skills, learning constantly, staying adaptable, and never depending too heavily on any single person, job, or outcome. The person who can walk away at any moment is the one the world chases. The person who has no options is the one the world controls. A Machiavellian builds so much value that walking away becomes effortless. And when you have that mindset, no one and nothing can pin you down. This chapter is your elevation. From this point forward, you stop moving like someone trying to prove themselves and start moving like someone the world must account for. Machiavelli believed that every human has two lives, the one they settle for and the one they're truly capable of. Most people never reach the second life because they never make the decision to step into it. They wait, they doubt, they hesitate. They tell themselves they'll start tomorrow, next week, when things calm down. But nothing changes until you make that internal shift. The moment you decide that your future will no longer be controlled by fear, laziness, or old habits. The strongest people in the world are not the ones who avoid pressure. They're the ones who learn to grow under it. They don't pray for an easier life. They build themselves into someone who can handle a harder one. This is the final evolution, becoming the person who shapes their own reality instead of being shaped by it. At this level, your mindset changes, your posture changes, your expectations change, your goals change, your surroundings change, your tolerance for mediocrity disappears. You begin to move with a level of clarity that others mistake for confidence. But it's not confidence, it's understanding. You understand yourself, you understand people, you understand the game, you understand the cost of staying the same. And once you carry this understanding, you walk differently. You no longer seek approval from people who haven't built anything. You no longer fear failure because you now see it as data, not defeat. You no longer waste energy explaining who you are to people who aren't even listening. You reserve your energy for your mission, your goals, your standards, and your rise. This is where the world begins to bend. Opportunities start aligning with your ambition. People start treating you with newfound respect. Doors you never imagined start unlocking. Life becomes less about surviving and more about building. Machiavelli taught that fortune favors those who move with boldness, those who create their momentum and refuse to let circumstances decide their destiny. At this stage, you no longer compete with others. You compete with the weakest version of yourself and destroy him every day. You focus on sharpening your discipline, protecting your peace, expanding your intelligence, elevating your environment, increasing your value, raising your standards. And the more you do this, the more you transform into someone who cannot be ignored, cannot be doubted, and cannot be stopped. You become the kind of person people remember, the kind of person people follow, the kind of person people respect, the kind of person people speak about even when you're not in the room. This is the destiny you're walking into. A life of intentional action, a life of strategic movement, a life where your presence has weight, a life where your mind is sharp, a life where your influence is undeniable, a life where you don't just live, you lead. And if you ever doubt yourself, remember this. You've already walked further than the version of you who used to hesitate. You've already become stronger than the version of you who used to overthink. You've already stepped closer to the life you were meant to live. Now comes the final step. Commit fully. Not halfway. Not someday. Not when you feel ready. Commit now. Because a person committed to their rise is a person the world cannot deny. If you're ready for this next chapter, if you're ready to step into the you that you know you can be, stay with me. There's so much more to build, so much more to create, so much more to rise into. And before you go, hit like and subscribe. Not for me, but for the version of you that refuses to live small ever again.